on the blue side, banning away that Galio from Bjergsen. And yeah, TSM, no dummies, they banned out Zach.
Yeah, Zach makes a lot of sense. I'm interested to see kind of the priority on Cho'Gath and Maokai. Those are two to me that, I mean, Maokai I think is universally accepted as a really top tier pick. Cho'Gath, it seems like some teams have a lot of priority on it. Others are willing to let it fall completely through pick and ban. So I think there is still some divergence in what teams are prioritizing on the new patch, and it's kind of time to find out what TSM's thoughts on that are.
Absolutely agree. It's interesting to see as well. Most teams seem to put Cho'Gath more as a top laner than a jungler. They kind of prefer that situation for him, that lane for him, which is not what I thought is the better matchup, but it's what the pro teams are doing, and they've all kind of independently come to that conclusion. So the final bans come through, Rumble Tlee off the table, and Thresh, the first pick here for Lemonnation.
And I mean, while it is more successful in the jungle as far as solo queue goes, Snow Day Bard, there you go. Hey, they can lock it in. It's a good pick. We'll see if that actually happens, but either way, I mean, one of the problems with Cho'Gath in the jungle in pro play is it doesn't have a lot of ganking pressure.
Yeah. That's
Maokai not quite as cool as the Snow Day Bard.
No, there is still a festive Maokai spin. Sven's gonna keep it going.
These are like the level of cheers we got when they were picking Teemo top.
Yeah,
like,
exactly.
This is getting pretty excited.
I've never seen a crowd this excited for a cosplay too. You know, like that's pretty awesome. So hey, shout out once again to you. I'm gonna wait to see what they want to pick up. And again, Bard is not a bad pick here. They really could give it to Biofrost. They're gonna go to Varus. Groans from the audience. Moon's back on. Now, set expectations. I am, what was the phrase? Pretty confident? Virtually certain?
Pretty much guaranteed.
Yeah, pretty much guaranteed. FlyQuest are not going to lock in Bard here. They've already got support. Pretty much guaranteed not going to happen. Cho'Gath's going to come through, and the expectation is this is a top lane matchup for the Cho'Gath. The Maokai is still more of a flex.
Well, and it's pretty interesting. While seeing a first pick Thresh is not surprising, it is seeing on Lemonnation. That is very surprising because it's actually the first time he has played it all split long, despite the fact that this is a very highly prioritized support for a lot of players. He has not shown up on it even once yet. So it's a takeaway from Biofrost, and we're going to have to see how well he actually performs on it.
Yeah, I also think it's very interesting as well that neither of these two marksman pickups for the bot lane are incredibly high scaling ones. We've already seen both the Cho'Gath and the Maokai, who are very heavy tanks play in the top or jungle role. They're not going for the big tank killers like the Kallistas, like the Tristanas.
So what I will say is, although there's a lot of focus on bringing AD carries who can kill the tanks, you can also bring mid laners who can shred tanks. You can have that filled from another role. We haven't seen as much priority on champions like Malzahar and Cassio and these sorts of things that really deal well with tanks from the mid lane, or at least can scale into those champions that can deal well with them. But we might see a shift on that today. And we also have to remember that both the Maokai and the Cho'Gath are flex picks, and the Callista ban seems like a misclick.
Yeah, you can see like Turtle and ThinkCard laughing like, you know we picked Jhin already, right?
I think it's simply a misclick there from TSM. So one wasted ban, but should not be the end of the world for them.
Yeah, it doesn't seem like they're telling any refs to remake champ select or anything, so they're probably going to keep on going with their lives. I'm kind of looking back and making sure, but...
And there is always a very slight chance that it's one of those things where you're saying, okay, we actually think in our pick ban strategy it's better to leave it open, but I generally disagree with that almost all the time because there's always a champion that you will never pick that there is a small chance that they may.
Yeah, absolutely.
And then that's always going to be a worthwhile ban to go for. But despite that, we still don't know if these are jungle or top lane tanks. People are going to kind of have to pick a bin around that.
Yeah, and we'll see. For the most part, it's been a very tank-heavy jungle meta game. The only really exceptions have been Elise in primary play. We've seen occasionally rumbles and whatnot, but still waiting to see what actually comes through. One final ban for FlyQuest, then TSM gets first dibs in the second phase of picks.
I mean, we do have to mention, though, there also has been things like Kayn. There has been, you know, a fair bit of diversity, I would say, like more than I think people actually expected to see. You know, Elise is very highly prioritized. Kayn has been up there. There has been still some Lee Sin. There has been, you know, Kha'Zix. Like, it's not just tanks in the jungle.
And as you mentioned, high damage mid laner certainly available. Cassiopeia getting the first pick for TSM. Viktor is a pretty likely follow for high. Corki's up there as well. Worth noting, by the way, I learned this recently, Adaptive Helm does work against Corki auto attacks. So if that's not obvious from the tooltip, it does mean that your tanks can pretty easily itemize against him. And just take 20%, well in this patch, 50% damage reduction at all times against him. But it will be standard mages here, the Cassiopeia with Viktor.
And Cassio, I think, is a very strong pick as far as having someone to deal with that front line, especially when you could see another tanky top laner. On FlyQuest, I mean, we see it come in as the Jarvan, but Moon is one of the few junglers who actually has played some Jarvan jungle, so it's not guaranteed to be J4 top, whereas you would normally kind of expect that. So this could still be flexed around depending on what the matchups are for top and jungle. And with Gnar coming out, we'll see what they think is the better matchup. Yeah, shout out to top Bar, but it's going to be top Gnar for this one. And you're right, it is still a bit remaining to be seen which matchup it's going to be. We know it's Gnar top Maokai jungle. TSM's lineup is really secured, but you're right, until the end, it's going to be a flexible situation for FlyQuest. So wait till the time ticks down. At 20 seconds, you have to stop switching back and forth, so at that timer we'll know. TSM for funsies, swapping back and forth anyway. I mean, I'm expecting it to be J4 top. I actually do think that J4 top is a better matchup into the Gnar, but it just depends what style of game you're actually trying to play. And as you've said, we've seen in the LCS, people are prioritizing Cho'Gath top more than they would in a solo queue setting. Yeah, you're right. So much to kind of both of our chagrins, it's Cho'Gath top and Jarvan in the jungle. It's what they've come in for. As you mentioned very early on in Champ Select, Cho'Gath is not the most insane gank assister or ganker because his stuff is unreliable. He has long cast animations, but they want the more reliable ganking of Jarvan the 4th in that jungle role. FlyQuest for certain, it is Cho'Gath top, the Jarvan in the jungle. Pick ban timer has run out. Coaches shake hands, and we will see just who can come up with this win. FlyQuest technically in the playoff running, though virtually guaranteed they won't make it because they need a minor miracle to make it happen. But they are also hoping for a 7th or 8th place finish to keep their championship points and make that run toward Worlds. TSM, their battle looking for a playoff bye, and they're going to hope they can do it. Bjergsen on a very heavy carry into Cassiopeia. A very important Gnar pickup in the top end as well for Hauntzer. And as the crowd cheers, we are ready to go into game 1 of this match. See who can take it home. FlyQuest versus TSM. And TSM is going to have to remember how aggressive Moon has been with his pathing on Jarvan. We've seen a lot of level 2 ganks that, people kind of call them cheesy, whatever you want to call them, but these, especially targeting towards the mid lane. And with Bjergsen on Cassio, there is a chance that they could actually go towards the mid lane early on with one of these level 2 ganks and try to put on some of that pressure. Maokai is certainly not someone that you're expecting to match that gank or to look for a gank at level 2. So we'll see if Moon is going to go for any aggressive plays like that. And it's also worth noting that Lemon went with Bond of Stone, which I think is pretty atypical for Thresh. Most people do go Courage of the Colossus, and especially when he is playing with a comp like this that is not super auto attack heavy. Yes, J4 and Cho'Gath and stuff are going to auto attack too, but Jhin is more of kind of like a spellcaster than a pure auto attack damage focused champion. So the Bond of Stone healing, I think, is going to be very ineffective in this game. And it's halved because he's a ranged champion. I forget if you said that or not, but and you mentioned this is Lemmonnation's first Thresh game of the split. Now, he's a very smart player. I think he's one of the most cerebral LCS or just pros in general that I know. But yeah, I would generally disagree with this choice as well. Almost every pro does go with Courage of the Colossus. Yeah. Remains to be seen what actually comes out of this game, though. As Sven going to be able to solo his blue if he wants to. TSM might find themselves a fight, and they're going to have a lot of damage on WildTurtle here. And they kill the ward off as well, which is nice. Yeah, nicely done for TSM there. And I do think just even as far as the 2v2 goes, there is some pressure, on Lemon. On this Thresh, he's playing against the Tahm Kench. That is a fairly difficult matchup, I think, for the Thresh. You have to be pretty creative with how you're using your hooks and your plays to actually try to set this up and be able to have some effectiveness in this lane. And the fact they are both playing Bond of Stone, but one of them is a melee champion, the other is ranged, already means that Biofrost is getting a lot more out of this mastery. Yep, totally the case here in this one. We'll see what comes through on the rest. Worth noting statistically, as far as Solomid is concerned, Ancient Coin is slightly better than Relic Shield on Thresh. It's very comparable, though. I think it's really up to a decision. But Coin is actually not unheard of on Thresh. We saw in the Challenger Finals, Mad Life was running Coin Taric, for example, and I think more and more tank supports will realize the gold income is valuable. A cool start for Gnar also, I think, pretty interesting. It's a pretty safe laning phase, so he gets to stack up the gold for free. Yeah, and I mean, if you're essentially saying, I'm not going to be pressured, and I'm not actually going to really be able to pressure him, then Cull makes so much sense, right? You don't actually need the Doran's Blade for the extra combat stats, and generally speaking, Cho'Gath does have a very sustained heavy lane thanks to his passive, all the health he gets back for all the minions dying around him. Moon going to be warded out. Nice early ward there actually by Bjergsen. So they were putting down a very early ward. If you look at the timing on that, it's already getting close to expiring. So Bjergsen was playing around the fact that Moon has done these level 2 ganks, and I think that's very smart and speaks to the level of research that they've kind of done on this team. Absolutely the case. Well, it gives a bit of safety to the bot lane of FlyQuest, but meanwhile TSM in a kind of a similar boat. The fact that there is no secured Scuttlecraft topside means maybe balls will be gankable a bit later on in this one. You spoke to combat stats on Cole. Yeah, health is certainly a relevant stat if you are going to get ganked. Again, seems unlikely if he's facing a Cho'Gath.
but the attack damage difference is 1. It's 7 versus 8. So, you know, his bullying is really not any worse, and I actually do think it's a very smart choice by Hauntzer. I applaud him for making what I think is actually the best possible item start. In what's supposed to be an easy matchup.
I mean, while I agree, you know, as far as the actual damage you're dealing, yes, it's not a big difference, but having the extra health allows you to play more aggressive too, so that does kind of enable you to play the lane more forward, and generally speaking, you're probably going to get more, I'd imagine, out of the door and displayed lifesteal on a champion like Gnar, but either way, it's going to be pretty negligible, and Svenskeren is up on the top side. They have quite a bit of vision for Hauntzer, and that's going to allow him to play more aggressive, but Moon is here.
Entering in, slow on the Biofrost, going to force the flash. Now the knockup is in. They're going to keep going for the tank. Exhausted and Jarvan after the damage comes in. 2 more shots to go. 1 more. There's the kill coming in. First blood for FlyQuest in the bot lane.
And they get all 4 summoners there out of the TSM bot lane. The gank assist coming in huge for Thresh as Moon was able to hit such a good double knockup.
Really, really smart. They played it perfectly as well to slow into the Jhin route first. Once the flash comes in, you know, the flag and drag is free. Really beautiful stuff out of them and a great play. Sven's going to do what he can to take away some of Moon's jungle camps, but he'll take 400 gold over a Gromp any day.
Yeah, he certainly will. And I think this would be an extremely risky dive to go for, so I don't think that they're really looking to do that. I think that Sven's only going to be able to get the counter jungling, and will have to head home here, so nicely played. FlyQuest on the bot side, and we'll get to watch this one more time. Lemonnation, Flay into the Lantern, waits for the flash, and Biofrost flashing on top of DoubleLift was kind of ill-advised there, allowing for the double knockup, and that means that DoubleLift on the end of this play actually has to blow his flash as well. So a bit of a mistake from Biofrost in the way that they executed that.
Definitely agree, but that's the way it comes down. So now there's a flash up for Lemon and a flash up for Moon if they want to repeat gank to the bot side, and that seems honestly a likely situation to come through as long as Double and Biofrost pushes back down. Double did stay in lane since that gank. He pushed in the wave, but is finally able to buy now, getting himself some items. Watch the mid lane trade. Small lead to Bjergsen, as you kind of expect for a player of his caliber. And here comes the mid lane gank for Maokai. I'm going to run to the left now. Going to get hit with the attack speed buff. Oh, and he's been grounded. He's rooted as well. Cleanse flash. And he is going to get out of that one, but that could have been so deadly high. Does get away.
Yeah, nice grounding there from Bjergsen, though. And the hesitation to actually flash over the wall instantly from high means he has to expend his cleanse as well. So that's 2 summoners down. And that wasn't even like a flash twisted advance or anything from Svenskeren. So now High is going to have to play much more safely.
It's going to be hard to get away from the next one, certainly, because that's the second time the jungler's gotten a gank, blown the summoners, and the jungler still has his. So Flash CC is certainly available. Lemonnation cheeking to the river, maybe trying to bait out. Is there a Jarvan here? Is there not? Maybe you should give up CS. And TSM going to be under turret for all intents and purposes for now. 500 gold difference in this game thanks to the bot lane gank. And the way the map starts to reset a little bit.
Yeah, not too big of a deal. Mostly just that first blood gold separating them. And
yeah,
you know, we'll see how top lane does kind of continue. As so far, you can see Balls has not really been able to be pushed out whatsoever. Hauntzer, you know, is shoving in and he is stacking up his calls, so they have some pressure. But Cho'Gath's level of sustain is just so high. So Hauntzer can't really expect, I think, to get too much done in the 1v1 until he's more up to a Black Cleaver.
Well, level 6 is available. He's going to transform in time. You got to watch out for what could be a chomp. But look at the damage up there. The minions are in range as well, but Hauntzer knows Feast and one more spell could be lethal, so has to kite back, and the threat of the damage a bit too high for him. Out goes Hauntzer and a trade of damage.
Yeah, I mean, the fact that you have the Grasp of the Undying proc going to be available after that stun lock, plus your E is probably coming back up, you actually do get a big chunk of damage out, so you really do have to respect that Feast damage. You don't want Balls to be able to get these early stacks, and for Balls it becomes kind of a choice. Do you actually just utilize it right away on minions and start getting some of those free stacks, or do you save it for the combat power? Because if you do use it on the minion to kind of have that growth for later on, you know, we can see Hauntzer look for an all-in.
Yeah, absolutely the case. It's one of the interesting things. There's a play as a knockout Biofrost. There's no way possible out for the TSM support. He's going to keep running, but the attacks are going to be there. Lemonnation, sadly for FlyQuest, secures the kill. But at least the SS Gold comes in for the bot lane.
That nicely done. Good repeat gank there, and Balls has to
get
now.
He's going to go down, and look at that. The cold start's going to work out for him, and he's going to get that kill under the turret.
I mean, the call may have had something to do with it, but the Phage could have helped out as well.
I know, I'm missing.
I mean, Hauntzer goes back early base, and sometimes that's what can happen if you're going to greed it out and you're going to stay around. Balls does not elect to actually match the base timing. He didn't want to lose any minions. He was pushed in, so he tries to stay around. He does end up getting solo killed there. Yeah, which is pretty rough situation for him. And he didn't even actually utilize his Feast before dying, which is a pretty big deal because he has not used it at all. He's now level 7. He doesn't even have 1 stack, but here is the play again. The missing hook actually allows Biofrost to have the confidence to go forward, but Moon is already waiting, and TSM just has to play expecting the jungler to be down there when there's no summoners up. So this is a smart play there from FlyQuest on the bot side, and then Balls just really stepping too far forward and does go down.
There's a decent chance Hai actually baited that situation. I don't see the timing of it, but during that fight, I saw Hai walk towards his blue buff. Like, at that time, FlyQuest blue was available, and a lot of the times, your jungler will leash blue for your mid laner. And I saw Hai walk towards blue around the time Biofrost face checked. There's actually a chance that Hai acted as though Moon wasn't bot lane. And if that's actually really the case, and the reason TSM fought, that's incredibly smart by him. It's either false credit or it's really all about him, but either way, the gank did come through nicely, and TSM clearly were not aware of the fact that Moon was around as the flashes were down, and it was a nice clean kill. Ties the gold back up pretty nicely though here. You can see 2-1 over on the scoreboard. The solo kill from Hauntzer clearly keeping TSM a bit closer in this game. Bjergsen is stacking up his tier pretty nicely. He's got a nice 11 farm lead over Hai as well, which is quite nice.
And I did go back and check, and he walks over towards, but he actually wards the pixel brush. And TSM can see that where he is.
Okay.
So TSM should have played around that. It could have been a bit of a feint, but ended up just being a warding move there from Hai. Okay. Either way, it is a clever play. Anytime you're going out of vision like that, you can be giving misinformation, whether you're threatening a roam or saying, hey, I could be collecting this blue buff. Things like that are smart little moves.
And as we have the lane swap back up here, looks like FlyQuest wanted to be first on the play, looking for top lane outer right now. They are going to be matched up by TSM's duo. Of course, all the summoners are back up here, but it's double ultimates for FlyQuest. Not yet 6 for Biofrost. Ooh, Hai and Moon spotted on the way in. They think they might be safe with the control where Lemonnation sees the ward himself. And basically all of FlyQuest are here to be first on the play, looking for the aggression, looking to knock down first turret.
Yeah, doing a really good job so far. You got to give a lot of credit to Moon, who not only is out farming his opponent, has also been much more active with these ganks in the bot lane. Moon has just been doing a lot more than Svenskeren. I mean, Sven behind a fair bit of gold, behind in CS, behind in gank pressure. Yes, he is playing what you would call the kind of weaker early game jungler. Yeah. So he has to be more careful because of that. But still, I mean, it's been a really good early game for Moon. And now FlyQuest able to take advantage of that and get first turret.
Absolutely the case. So really nicely played game and nice stuff by them. 800 gold lead here for FlyQuest. And again, on their quest for the chance of the World Championship, they got to get, pretty sure, at least one win at some point. And hey, who better to beat than TSM at this point, looking to keep that one going forward. Hai still scaling up as well as he can. Looks like he might be going for a reasonably early Banshee's Veil, based on the fact that he's got that early Null Magic Mantle. See what the build actually entails for now, but just playing the farm game. TSM haven't gotten a lot of pressure on a Bjergsen. They had blown high summoners, but no repeat ganks yet for Sven. Even been just a farm fest over there. All the action's been in the side lanes. Credit to Hauntzer and credit to Moon for all the kills they're going to have so far.
That's certainly the case. I mean, and while TSM is down the turret, they are down a kill. They're doing quite well as far as farm goes in their actual lanes, so they can be pretty happy about that. And Sven getting run down here, but Biofrost maybe can save him.
Oh, and the flash to put a lot of safety as well. Nicely played right there. You saw so many good moves, Sven. He had used Twisted Advance to dodge the root from WildTurtle. A great save by Biofrost as well. Saving his bacon, Maokai stays alive.
And the sidestep on the hook, so really well played to get out. Does cost them the support flash, but not really that big of a deal. And Cassio going to be scaling very well. Gnar going to be quickly getting towards his Black Cleaver, where he can really start to dominate that 1v1 against the Cho'Gath, kiting him out. And DoubleLift still staying pretty well up there in farm. So yep. TSM is scaling up, and if they start getting kills, I mean, I always kind of favor the team who is down slightly in gold or around even in gold if they are down in kills too, because there's more stuff to kind of pick up on the map, right? It's like they have not taken a turret and they're almost even. They are down a kill and they're almost even. And that kind of being in that situation means that when you do win fights, there's more generally to get on the map. Like you can start knocking down turrets, you can start picking up that global gold. And if a team is up in kills and up in turrets and still not able to kind of push that advantage, that usually speaks poorly about their chances in the game too.
Right, it's what it comes down to. I mean, comps have different timers on them. There's better early game, you could argue, from the Jarvan, as you mentioned before. The Thresh, Jay cleared very well for themselves, but if that dries up, then what's left is TSM scaling with the Maokai jungle, who's going to be insanely hard to deal with later on in the game, and Biofrost might save absolutely everyone, but that's Tahm Kench. See what the next move is as Sven and Bio look down to the bot side of the map. They've once again found a Thresh and a Jhin to fight up against.
And as DoubleLift comes down, I mean, they've seen Jarvan now. They could actually look to go for some sort of engage if they wanted to utilize the Tahm Kench ultimate. You can ult in the Maokai or the Gnar, and even if they don't do that now, then it's certainly an engage you can look for later. Wait till Hauntzer is in Mega Gnar, then you ult him in with Biofrost to set up one of these flanks. Same thing you can kind of pull off with Svenskeren. If you can actually ult the Maokai behind the other team, it sets up for a very easy ultimate and flanking play, which can be very, very powerful. So for me, I'm kind of looking for FlyQuest to try to set something up earlier on to try to push an advantage, because I do feel like they kind of get outscaled here. I feel like Varus is more useful in teamfights later on. I feel like Cassio probably stronger than the Viktor if you're talking really later in the game. And the Maokai certainly, I think, outscales as well. And now they are looking for that ultimate.
Look for Lemonnation, not quite going to find that. The flash is not going to be in range. Moby Boots too fast for him. Hook's going to miss as well. Now Bjergsen, about to be 1v2, might have to flash away, does do so. It's going to be safe for now. Quick chop for Biofrost, out they go. A nice attempt by TSM, but foiled very well by FlyQuest, and now they're down Bjergsen's flash.
Yeah, down 2 flashes, in fact, as Sven had the flash to get out there as well. So nicely handled by FlyQuest, absorbing that gank, getting a couple summoner spells, and staying alive. Certainly does give them a bit of an advantage, but Hauntzer still going to be pushing up here on the top side, and is slowly going to be working away on this turret. They're not getting too much damage down yet, but you would expect with Black Cleaver finish that he can start to kind of push more of an advantage and hopefully get up to that turret, start getting some damage down.
They're both hiding away from each other. I think neither really know what's going on. They're going to jump right into Lemonnation. They're going to find that Thresh, and now he's going to try to walk away from this. Box is on. Flash going away. Meanwhile, Bjergsen caught in the cataclysm, goes down to Moon. The gank comes in. Do they have the damage? Got to kill off Viktor, though they're trying. Sven just wailing away on him. The hook comes in. Finally, the kill comes off to high. And now Moon Force from the chase is on. Hauntser's going to land the boomerang. And he's going to look for number 3 on Lemonnation. The chase is in. He's going to get shot. Cripple kill in for Hauntzer. Staying alive. He won't go down. Looking for the 4th. DoubleLift takes it away from him. Now WildTurtle left alone. And he's got nowhere to go. An ace for TSM. Full house. Hauntzer's over DoubleLifts. And then Cloud Drake to top it.
The 5-for-1 for TSM. They're going to get a dragon as well. Might even be able to push mid here. And Balls TP'd in, but his feast was actually down from using it on a minion, so he could not clean up Hauntzer. And the fight falls completely apart. Hauntzer is going to be massive now. 2 levels up, and here is the play again. FlyQuest going for the engage here onto Bjergsen, but Bjergsen doing a pretty good job actually self-healing, and then Svenskeren coming in with the ultimate from Maokai, getting high very low. Biofrost, nice grab there, pulling DoubleLift out of harm, and then Hauntzer just so strong at this point, able to fly in, and he should have been able to get taken down by Balls, but the feast was not available, so he's able to get his transform off, lands the stun combo, and they clean up even more kills.
Really nice stuff right there, and you saw Hauntzer actually walk back over to push the mid-lane wave afterwards. Chase came through pretty nicely, and TSM just ever watchful what's going on, and really nice stuff by them. 2,000 gold lead now, and they kind of said there might have been a ticking clock of the team getting outscaled, and TSM now with the gold lead at 16 minutes.
And it's
right into that.
It's honestly so hard to see how Balls kind of gets involved in this game at this point when you're closing in on a frozen mallet, you're already on Black Cleaver. They're looking to make a play here on DoubleLift, and Biofrost's going to need to keep safe.
Nice jump, gets him away from it. Now a big shield and a big stun going to come on to him. They're going to get that kill picked up. Can Biofrost, or sorry, DoubleLift stay safe to try. Yeah, here comes Cassiopeia. The hook is in there to knock him down, and a killing spree for DoubleLift, taking him out. Maokai not quite going to find any champions to kill, but still nice pickups there. TSM managing to get up the 1-for-1 on what was a great otherwise die by FlyQuest.
And Hauntzer's going to get the mid lane turret, which has been chunked low. He already rotated down, has the red buff, so we'll be able to pick that up. And I mean, this guy is going to be on 2 items very soon. Balls is not yet on 1 item. And Cho'Gath is going to struggle so hard against this fed Gnar who can kite him out. Here's the play once more. DoubleLift running back to Biofrost, and Biofrost intelligently standing behind him, hoping to not get hit by the same CC. As long as he keeps his carry here safe, they know that they have a chance to look for a fight, as Bjergsen is already roaming down, has the Cloud Dragon, gets there pretty quickly, and they are able to turn it back for that 1-for-1 trade.
Yeah, and there we go. That's some nice stuff coming out of TSM, making it happen just a little bit. I want to point out, I think part of the reason Biofrost died was the bug fix from 7.15 isn't in yet, where Thresh still has a stun on the back end of FLY, kind of unintentionally. It's why his win rate went so up when he became the #1 support. So I think he might have actually gotten his thick skin off if we were playing on 7.15. And maybe that was going to be enough help to have him live. Unsure, but I like pointing out changes when they actually would have made a difference in the game.
Yeah,
I think it's interesting.
Certainly possible. Either way, not too bad for TSM as although there has been a lot of focus on the bot lane from FlyQuest, they have not been really rewarded with the kills on DoubleLift, so DoubleLift's farm has been able to stay up. Yeah. It's all been kills on Biofrost, and sure, it sucks to have your support go down, but as long as your AD carry is not being punished because of that, it doesn't end up being that big of a deal, and it's, you know, DoubleLift up a little bit in farm, now has picked up a lot of kills because of the team fight win there, and also another kill on that dive, so he's going to be very, very strong. And I mean, top lane is just at such a point where it's like, you can split push almost and just take over this game completely. Like, Hauntzer is so far up in gold. He's nearly 3,000 gold ahead individually at pre-20 minutes. Like, that's disgusting, and it's going to be so hard for Balls to really do anything at all against him.
Yeah, it definitely doesn't get easy for him. He can continue to be a tank in the front line, and maybe he can try to withstand Bjergsen and double its damage, but it's going to be a tough road ahead. Righteous Glory done. He can get in the front lines and then maybe unceremoniously die for it. FlyQuest getting the second turret, though. Props to Turtle and the rest of the team for making that happen. It's Hauntzer and Sven going to knock this top lane one down.
And I think for FlyQuest, it's going to be about their opening combos, right? How can you start this fight? If you can actually find Bjergsen or someone like that and lock them in the Cataclysm, immediately take them down with Cho'Gath Beast and the ultimate coming down from high, like, they have a really good AoE combo when they're locked into the Cataclysm. If you can burst down one of the carries immediately, great, then you can win the fight. But you need to be able to set that up either with CC on Biofrost first, or him not being there, or something. There has to be some sort of mistake or catch, because Tahm Kench can deny that pretty well.
Totally agree. We'll see if that burst comes through, though. If the big silence can knock down Bjergsen, it's one of the nice things, actually, about Cho'Gath is when you're a machine gun mage like Cassiopeia is, silence actually is essentially a stun damage-wise for the whole. Like, if you silence a Viktor, you might be on cooldown anyway. You silence Cassiopeia, it's always going to give you some benefit, so we'll see if Balls can make the big plays happen here in this one. Obviously, again, having a terrible laning phase, but it's a nice thing about tanks. They still do their job more often than not, even when they're behind.
Yeah, I mean, you can still be relevant, but it is kind of a race, right? It's who can outpace the other as far as itemization, and the Righteous Glory, while it is an extremely strong item, and I have no problem with that purchase, it's not like something that makes you immensely tanky, right? This is not something that is going to be allowing you to survive a fed Cassio and Varus and Gnar, so he's going to have some relevance in a team fight. It's not like he's a Fiora that's massively behind. I think that is certainly worse, but it's still going to be very tough for him. And Hauntzer doesn't even have to really let him have the opportunity to go to the team fights. I think Hauntzer can simply just split push and drag him away from the team. And in my opinion, TSM's 4v4 is probably even stronger.
Yeah, I mean, certainly look really good on this one. You've got a Cassiopeia and a Varus who are going to feel great, and the front line is not super huge yet from FlyQuest. I mean, Thresh is never really that durable, but it is full take Jarvan at least, so, you know, maybe he survives it, but percent health damage out of Varus with the W and the Ruin King can certainly cut through a pure health build, as we're seeing here. Locket and Snowflake probably next up for Moon, though, and he'll get pretty close to invincible.
Yeah, the Warmox is an interesting choice as that second item. And while that is certainly useful, like, I always feel like if you can't get in and out of the fights and actually utilize the passive, then it's not super great. And often for junglers like J4, it is a one-way trip. We'll see if he can actually prove me wrong and try to dodge in and out of these fights to be able to pull that off, though.
He's also not yet at 3,000 max health, so the passive doesn't even turn on.
Goes on at 2750.
Oh, you're right. It was 3K. It made 2750. That's a good point. I don't
so he should be able to actually have that active, and he does. So that is certainly nice to have that passive, but it just, if you are doing a one-way trip as a tank, then other items are more effective. If you can get out of the fight and regen, then rejoin the fight, Warmogs is great. But if you're just diving in and then fighting till you die, Randuin's is better, Stoneplate is better, Spirit Vestige is better. All these items have much more oomph in the heads-up fight.
Jhin ults, and gonna kill a minion wave. Part of minion wave. All right, nice try. Meanwhile, TSM Soul's gonna do a Mountain Drake. No contest on them, and it's been a bit more slow going of a game, I would say, for the last 5 minutes or so, which I feel like it's just TSM's benefit as they keep to scale up, as Hauntzer continues to be a gigantic split push threat, as the Knight's Vow is getting built up right now for Svenskeren with the Kindled Dem and the Cloth Armor, so it's going to make Bjergsen even harder to kill. I assume he'll bind there. I think it's a better choice. And, I mean, it feels like TSM have all the tools they need.
Yeah, I really do feel like the pressure is on FlyQuest to be able to make a play. Like, they're the ones who want to try to force it, and they're certainly not out of it by any means just yet, but they are going to need to find one of these really good plays, because a straight-up 5v5 is going to be exceptionally hard to win against TSM unless TSM all groups up and all gets hit by your AoE. So that's really what it's about. TSM just has more ways to win the game because straight up 5v5 they should win, split push they should win. Really how they lose is getting caught out, and that means the game is a lot about vision. How well can TSM control vision? How well can they anticipate their opponent's moves and spot them out early?
And to FlyQuest credit, I think their vision at this exact moment is slightly better. They've got several pretty good deep wards in that TSM northern jungle right now, and TSM don't have great wards to save for themselves. So maybe that pick comes through. They're trying right now on Biofrost. He eats up Sven, gets away, but that's flash down for Tahm Kench. And that is Ignite for Flash, so that's something at least picked up. Maybe they can try again later.
Yeah, definitely not bad. Hauntzer pushing heavily on the bot side, though, with this Rift Herald that was dropped and may be able to clean up another turret. Plus, TSM is going to shove up mid here. They are grouped up as a 4-man squad now, so can't get picked off, and another turret will fall to the split push.
Yeah, the 4v4, as you mentioned, was safe enough for TSM. They get bot lane 2-2. It's now 4-2 in turrets. They're still up those 2 Drakes. They're still up now almost 5,000 gold here, and TSM certainly playing a great mid game out of this one. We'll see what comes next.
And now trying to establish vision. You see the 3 pink wards go down around Baron. They know that one of the ways FlyQuest could actually win a fight is getting vision around Baron, setting up this sort of pick, baiting TSM in. So if they can control mid lane, continuously shove that up, and then have their wards around Baron, that denies the opportunity from FlyQuest to actually set up these sorts of plays.
We'll see if the setup comes through, though. FlyQuest still have to try to find a way to fight back from this game. You know, no LCS team just rolls over and dies, so we'll see if this team, led by High, one of North America's all-time great shot callers, can make something happen. But look at this TSM. Gonna go for this duo Baron, and there's no real glimpse of knowing this. And in fact, oh, the Scryer's Bloom missed slightly. Now they can see what's going on. Moon's gonna show up. Sven's out.
Yeah, they do back off, but will FlyQuest look for a fight? Don't think they can.
Heals the damage back up with Sat Magic, he's fine.
And it's a good try, right, from TSM. You may as well go for an opportunity like that. They utilize the Blast Cone, so no big cost, and Moon does get some out. Sven can be going down here, though. A
lot of damage on him, going to chomp on to 3 for the Cataclysm. Can Moon stay alive? A big ulti out of Bjergsen. He gets 1 kill picked off. Here goes Balls to the backside. Gets the knockup. Exhaust out of the Cho'Gath, though. Look at the shots come in. Looking for Biofrost. Turtle gets 1. They found a second. 2 of the tanks are gone, and now it's a 4v3 on the map.
Nice little engage there from FlyQuest. I mean, TSM grouped up, and the E was actually utilized on their tank, so DoubleLift and Bjergsen, everyone gets caught into that Cataclysm. It gave FlyQuest a way into the fight. They're able to actually get some kills. We'll be able to get this turret here, too.
Nice split comes in. Mid lane turret is going to fall down. Hauntzer back and forth. Not rooted just yet. Still looking for that damage to the side. Not going to get stunned yet either. Gnar's available, but still don't really want to fight that battle just yet.
Teams will back off, but still a win there for FlyQuest. Nicely done by them. And Svenskeren, we kind of talked about, they have to make some sort of mistake. They have to get picked off. And Sven kept pushing forward here, kind of walking up, does get hooked actually twice in a row. Now the whole team comes forward. That's a Cataclysm on everyone. So that is exactly the kind of thing that they needed. High is able to utilize that ultimate to actually layer that down, get a lot of damage down. Then Balls comes in. He can go right over the wall, pick up a couple quick kills there. So definitely, TSM needs to be cognizant of the AoE damage coming into FlyQuest, the groupings that can happen there. But it was a nice engage from Moon, and the follow-up there from High and WildTurtle.
And it's a gigantic health build out of Balls as well here in this one. His ulti actually going to be doing upwards of 700 damage on champions. That's not Stone Plate, that's just simply having a Warmog and being Cho'Gath. So at 710 right now, the listed damage in the tooltip. 2 champions. That's definitely meaningful. That's a good, more than a third of DoubleLift's health bar, a third of Bjergsen's health bar. And again, that silence certainly is valuable as well.
And it also can be pretty impactful on tanks. People think of the flash feast on carries and stuff, but Vorpal Spikes actually gets percentage health damage for every stack that you have. So it's actually dealing a lot of damage already. With the amount of stacks that he has, it's 7.5% plus base damage on that. Like, you can actually chunk out a tank pretty quickly, and if Hauntzer gets chunked pretty low, you can utilize the feast on him to try to burst down the front line and maybe give yourselves a chance at winning kind of front-to-back battle.
So we'll see if it comes through on this one. TSM right now want the mid lane, though. 4,000 gold up, and they're going to look at mid lane tier 2. They know the threat of Baron is there, and DoubleLift cannot stay to hit this one. So the attempted stop Balls and Lemonnation going to hold the front line. They're going to find Biofrost. Hook's going to miss, though, crucially. That could have been a pick. And you're going to bounce
it's going to be huge.
It's going to be a lot of roots right there. They have disengaged Baron, though. A lot of damage. They're going to knock down 1. Thresh is gone. Hauntzer waiting around the wings, not going to find it just yet. Biofrost spits Sven right back out, a 1 for 0, and the Baron bait does not pay off for FlyQuest.
And TSM has mid lane control. They can just shove that up. If FlyQuest goes back to mid lane, then TSM goes to the Baron, and they can utilize this, just run back and forth because they control the vision around the Baron right now. And Hai trying to move forward, but he has to be careful.
Almost gets tagged by DoubleLift. If he went backwards instead of to the side, that would have been a route into most likely a cleanse being down. So not the end of the world, but still could have mattered.
Side lane's also pushing for opposite teams, so TSM has their bot lane pushing, but FlyQuest had the top lane shoving, so teams looking to go grab up those waves, and we'll see what the next move is, as the waves are now working against FlyQuest, because TSM has fixed that top lane wave, the bot lane's still pushing for them, and Dragon Peak started up here by Hauntzer.
Bit of a slow tongue lash for Biofrost.
Sven is in position to flank here on Turtle.
Looking for the play. Can they find the frontliner? Ball's at about 1,400. The frontline is there. Look at the first damage.
Oh, that combo!
Huge Mega Gnar on a Hauntzer. A double kill already. The third coming through. Bjergsen mopping up the kills thanks to his top laner. Beautiful engage out of TSM. The Drake is free, and Baron's next up.
Svenskeren with the flank, and Hauntzer finds a beautiful Mega Gnar there onto a lot of members of FlyQuest, and they could go straight for this Baron. We'll see if Moon wants to try to go for that desperation steal. I mean, they're in pretty dire situations, so I wouldn't blame him, but I don't even think he can get in.
Oh, he's grounded. There's no way out for him. Look at the damage coming out, and yep, 4v1 easily. Baron does not reset, and no chance to stop it out. Red team picks up Baron Nashor. TSM of 8,500.
Smart take there from TSM, turning, killing off Moon, denying any chance of a steal, and they are in full control now. This is a very stacked TSM team. All their carries have so much gold, have all the kills, and here's the play once again. FlyQuest trying to force their way into the Dragon, looking for a fight, but Svenskeren already there on the side. Hai steps forward, he's gonna get caught out, and then look at Hauntzer, hits 4 with that ultimate. Such a nice combo right into Bjergsen's Petrifying Gaze. A really, really, really nice AoE combo there from TSM, and they're able to grab the Baron off that as well.
Really beautiful step out of them. That was absolutely marvelous. And now TSM off the reset. Maybe he can close the game with this Baron buff. Of course, there's still a lot of base to go. They've only killed 4 turrets, but
the fact that all their kills are on their top, mid, and AD carry, like all their damage dealers, is so nice for TSM as well. I mean, all of these guys are very, very strong. They're on 3-4 items. So there's so many threats now from TSM, it becomes even harder for FlyQuest. Even if you catch DoubleLift and take him down, you don't necessarily win the fight anymore if you spend too much to kill him, because Bjergsen and Hauntzer are so strong. So they really do need a fantastic engage. But then even after that, they could be hard-pressed to win the 5v4 if they've expended all their ultimates.
Yeah, a lot of difficulty really here. I feel like Hauntzer can 1v1 any single player on FlyQuest. So you're right, killing DoubleLift not going to mean that much just yet. Waiting to see what comes through into this one. Lemonnation looking for the cheeky hook over the wall, but look at that. You can see TSM hugging the top side to play around that. Dunk comes in. They're going to find Biofrost and a little bit of double as well. Flash gets into safety. Maokai going to catch a couple giant roots out of 3 of them, and not going to find just...
And the turrets are falling on the top and bottom side. Bjergsen knocks down a turret top. The inhibitor turret's already gone on the bot side, so all the 3-man squad in the middle has to do is just survive. They just have to wait. And FlyQuest is crumbling as they cannot match these solo laners. Hauntzer's already going to be taking down this turret, and he can threaten a flank, so the base is going to start to crumble. FlyQuest pretty much needs to find a miracle engage.
And there it is. Inhibitor down to the bot lane. Top was already pressured as well. It's now 7 turrets. It was 4, like literally a minute ago right now, and TSM have knocked down 3 already. Looking for more. And this one hook onto the tank, not going to mean terribly much. Sven going to jump in instead. They want this fight. Elimination is gone already. Hauntzer picks up 1. Here comes the re-engage for Moon. Can he get much for it? Looks like not likely. Stoneblade on with the damage in for DoubleLift. Biofrost gets kill credit there. The first of a non-tick to get one, or a non-carry to get one, as Hauntzer dives in towards the Nexus turrets himself. Takes up the Viktor ulti and doesn't care too much anymore. Hai forced out. Still the 5v3 inside the base, and TSM looking to close it out now on this one. 15-6 in kills. A solid early game for FlyQuest. They got some kills in the bot lane, but it was simply too much. Hauntzer was gigantic. Finds the stuns. He finds Hai, looking for the kills in the back line. They picked up the both of them. It's all going to be gone. The ace is in. And there's nothing left to stop TSM from taking game 1 in their quest for a first-round bye, in their quest for another consecutive final. Game 1 of TSM.
I mean, we asked the question, how good will TSM look coming into this week? And that was a damn good game 1 performance from them. They looked very dominant. Yes, they gave up a couple bot lane kills, but their carries all were farming well, all were performing well, and a monster game coming out of Hauntzer here, who really dominated lane, getting an early solo kill with the call buy, and then I mean, in the team fights, TSM really took over.
Yeah, I mean, to be clear about that one, he had gotten first recall off. He TP'd back, had Phage, Balls hadn't TP'd back, and that's a timing window where if you're the second TP, how greedy are you allowed to get? Because he's going to be up 2,000 gold of items on you, and that greed got punished by Balls. And maybe the lane was in a bad spot, like you'd have to go back and watch, but the TP desync was what came through. Hauntzer, most damage in the game.
And I mean, it's so hard for Cho'Gath, I feel like, in that matchup, unless there's a ton of gank pressure coming from your jungler, to actually really do anything except be this sponge, right? To just just get beat up on. It's up on the Gnar to actually make a mistake and get hit by your knockups and allow you to do something, which was why I was kind of surprised to see Cho'Gath not going jungle and Jarvan going top, because I feel like Jarvan has much more ability to kind of fight back and actually stand a chance in that 1v1. I mean, when you're comparing the damage, this is 26, almost 27,000 from Hauntzer versus under 7,000 damage from Cho'Gath. And Balls is just going to get kited and harassed and the whole game. It's really, really tough to get involved.
He hit 20% more than Thresh.
Yeah.
Right. And it's like, this is a guy with an 800 damage ultimate. So that's, 1/10 of his damage up right there as he pressed R1. So that was 10th of it. So, rough stuff right there. We have some replays to show you guys, though. At 15 minutes, TSM got an ace near the Dragon area, and this was when it really started turning up for TSM.
Yeah, this really was, I'd say, the game-turning fight. With what broke it wide open there for TSM, and they're able to just find a really nice fight. Bjergsen delays long enough, and they get enough damage out, and then Hauntzer coming down was already at a very strong point. Has the confidence to fly in here, and it was so key that Balls did not have his ultimate available. No Feast was up as he had used it top lane before coming down. Otherwise, he would have been able to actually chomp up Hauntzer and maybe give them a chance to turn around this fight, but instead, they're able to get the ace. They're able to actually even dictate where some of these kills go, giving DoubleLift a kill. They know they've won the fight that hard, that they have the ability to do that, and then they get the Dragon too. Yeah,
really cool stuff. And it's one of the unlucky things for Cho'Gath about the rework is you don't get the reduced cooldown when you chomp a minion anymore. And as you mentioned, when he died at level 7, he hadn't used it yet. It's like, if I use it on a minion, he knows he's like 2 minutes without this threat on me. At the same time, I got to stack at some point. And, unfortunately got unlucky with the timings. It's hard to say, like, in a minute, we're going to fight over Dragon. Like, that can be difficult to do. So, unlucky for him. Next replay we have up is the 3-for-0 from Hauntzer, his gigantic gnarls with that kind of won the fight over.
Yeah, and this was a very good fight for TSM. FlyQuest, I think, at this point was feeling a little bit desperate, looking for something. Svenskeren on the side. They actually try to engage forward onto him, but high stepping in. He's going to get caught. Big Mega Gnar ultimate, and then look at the Petrifying Gaze. Both of those ultimates catching 4 members of FlyQuest, and after that, there's no chance to actually get back and take that fight. And while I do agree, it can be, if you're playing solo queue, then maybe you can say, hey, it's a little bit unlucky playing around this timing. But this was actually a fight that FlyQuest chose, and you have to know that Cho'Gath's ultimate is down. You have to play around these cooldowns, because that is such a big window of power when your ultimate is up, and when it is down, you're so much weaker in these team fights. So FlyQuest chose the fight. They're the ones who engaged onto Bjergsen. They did so without Cho'Gath having that ultimate, and they were punished for that.
Yeah,
so
that's a fair point.
It's something that you really do need to be able to play around, and it is hard to actually know, do I always save it for a fight? And then what if fight doesn't come? Then I'm not stacking up. So yes, you have to utilize that, but then your team cannot take fights when your ultimate is down. Yeah, well, wraps up there. Either way, a Game 1 loss for FlyQuest, but a great win for TSM. We're going to take a quick break, but when we return, it's Game 2 between TSM and FlyQuest, so don't go anywhere. You're watching the North American LCS.